New evidence concerning Carlo Acutis shows that his body is still perfectly preserved, almost 20 years after his death. Opinions differ on the preservation of his body. Some think it's a miracle, while others wonder if there are modern ways of preserving things safely. But the actual situation could be very different from what was expected. Stay tuned, because we're about to reveal something that will change everything. Carlo was named Venerable by Pope Francis on October 10th, 2020. He will probably be officially made a saint in 2025. For those unfamiliar with his heritage, a brief history is in order. He was born in London on May 3, 1991. His parents are Andrea and Antonia. His family moved to Milan shortly afterwards, where he grew up. His devotion to the Virgin Mary was particularly strong, as evidenced by the fact that he prayed every day and constantly attended religious services, where he was deeply involved in every ceremony. Discover the story of Carlo Acutis and how it still inspires young people today. If you're interested, please like and subscribe to receive further updates. It will help us tell more extraordinary stories like hers. This young man seemed full of life and energy. His parents remember his kindness and caring, as well as his feelings for the people around him. This compassion became a defining feature of his personality. Carlo was also very interested in technology, which helped him to strike a balance between his religious and more modern interests. Inspired by saints like Saint Francis of Assisi, his trips to Assisi made him reflect a lot on himself and helped him grow as a person. Touched by the holy lives, he turned his admiration into a real project, a digital archive of Eucharistic miracles. He began this project at the age of 11 and completed it the year before his untimely death. Carlo used his website to spread his evangelical message, taking advantage of the possibilities of the digital age. He took a very different direction when, as a teenager, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Instead of giving up and giving in to despair, he showed amazing strength and faith. He promised to suffer for the Church, the Pontiff and the faith, saying he was ready to suffer for these sacred causes. All who knew him were moved by the way he shouldered his burden. Carlo maintained a good attitude during his illness and never complained. When asked about his problems, he answered modestly, saying that many people had much more serious problems. Those lucky enough to have known him were deeply touched by his peace and strength. Carlos died on October 12, 2006, the day Brazil honors the Virgin Mary. As he had requested, he was buried in Assisi, the city of his beloved Saint Francis. His death marked the beginning of a new part of his incredible spiritual journey. After his death, his influence grew, attracting admiration and copies from people all over the world. 4 years later, on the same day, an important event occurred. A frightening intervention was linked to a miracle reported in Brazil. In that country, a parish that wanted to make Carlo a saint organized an event at which a relic of Carlo, including a piece of his body and clothing, was exhibited. During the event, a grandmother prayed fervently for her grandson, who was suffering from serious pancreatic problems, through her daughter. Almost miraculously, the child began to eat and drink normally, which was not possible before. It was one of the many miracles people said he had performed. The Brazilian Bishops' Conference accepted the request to make this person a saint because of all the miracles that had occurred. In 2013, a diocesan investigation was launched to examine these claims in detail. It was completed in 2011. In 2018, Pope Francis recognized his great virtues by making him venerable, an important step towards becoming a saint. On January 23, 2019, the body of this extraordinary man was removed from his tomb and transferred to a church in Assisi, where he waited to be considered beatified. On October 11, 2020, almost 2 years later, his remains were presented to the public, showing just how well preserved they had been. It's very important to talk about the truth behind this event. The Diocese of Assisi stated that he had surprisingly retained much of his structural integrity, with several organs still partially intact, even though he had begun to decompose after being locked up for 13 years. This led to discussions about the possibility of miraculous preservation, given that things normally deteriorate after such a long period. Carlo's relics were properly preserved so that they could be displayed in public worship, which is common practice in the church to display the relics of saints and deacons. For example, a silicone mask and other advanced methods were used to ensure that the remains would be treated with respect during the beatification ceremony. His faith, love of the Eucharist, and creative use of technology to spread the gospel have made him known as the patron saint of the internet. His story shows that young people can achieve great spiritual things. People of all ages are inspired by his unwavering devotion, his courageous fight against illness, and his promise to use his skills for the good of all. As we approach the beatification ceremony, we are reminded of his powerful message. All are born original, but many die photocopied. This phrase encourages us to be true to ourselves, to accept our differences, and to use our God-given gifts to make the world a better place. His life shows that it is possible to live a fulfilling spiritual life, full of faith and service, whatever your age. Not only does his story show how spiritual he is, it also inspires us to reconnect with the profound beauty and power of the Eucharist. In fact, his existence proves that anyone can be a saint, not just a privileged few. Carlo's journey shows us how to live our faith on a daily basis, even when things are difficult. We've seen that faith can give us strength and comfort, even when we're going through very difficult times. His life shows what it means to love and care for others, using his skills to make the world a better place. It's particularly important today that he knows how to use technology to spread the Christian message. He saw that the internet and social media had enormous potential as powerful tools for evangelism and getting people involved. By creating a website, he has had a major impact on the lives of many people, showing that faith and modern technology can work together and even reinforce each other. How did you find this video? Please support us by subscribing and liking, and consider using the Super Thanks feature to help us make more videos like this one. Every little bit helps us write stories like Carlo Acutis, which are a source of inspiration. Carlo Acutis also stressed the importance of helping others. He performed acts of kindness throughout his short but important life, whether it was helping another person, spending time with the elderly, or simply being a caring friend. He did what he did because he believed in and respected the fundamental Christian commandment to love one's neighbor. Carlo Acutis' perspective continues to inspire teenagers, showing that age doesn't matter when it comes to living a faith-filled life. His blend of old-fashioned spirituality and modern vitality makes him an inspiration to young people, who see him as someone who lives his convictions with courage and honesty. Dominic Oricchio, a young university student, is a good example of Acutis' influence on today's teenagers. He respects Acutis for his deep convictions and his work in explaining the real meaning of the Eucharist. For Dominic, the Eucharist is more than just a ritual. It represents God's presence at all times. This is something he learned from Acutis. A young priest named Father Andrew Rubinich talks about how easy it is to be a saint at Acutis. He explains that Acutis has made holiness possible by showing devotion not as an idealistic and distant state of mind, but as a way of life that can be lived. For example, Rubinich likes the way Acutis compares the Eucharist to a highway to heaven, which speaks to young people looking for spiritual direction and a clear path in their faith journey. Sister Gabriela Ramirez de la Rosa also talks about the real effect Acutis has had on her. Acutis's acts and devotional practices are often evoked in the lively youth group she leads. Through his stories, he teaches people to be kind, to share, and to get involved in their community. His nephew, who was touched by Acutis, has begun to demonstrate these virtues, showing that young hearts can be changed to be more generous and kind. All these ideas show that Carlo Acutis has had a significant and lasting effect on young Christians around the world. His life continues to inspire people by showing that true faith and youthful energy can coexist. This has led to a strong and dedicated youth movement in the Church. His use of technology to explore his faith has had a significant impact on the religious world, showing that modern tools can enhance spiritual practices. His creative use of digital technology to disseminate Catholic teachings is a pleasing blend of old and new, and sets a standard for future digital evangelization. Carlo's main project, a website on Eucharistic miracles, shows how he can combine his deep spiritual interests with his technical skills. People from all over the world can explore and discover these miracles through this online platform, which has proved to be an important educational tool. Those interested in the mysterious aspects of faith continue to find inspiration on the site. His intelligent use of technology goes beyond simply disseminating information. Carlo has turned the internet into a place where people can meet spiritually by interacting with people from all over the world. It's not that his actions oppose the idea that technology is only secular or profane. Rather, they show how it can be used for sacred interactions. Teachers and technology experts like Mary Regina Boland, Associate Professor of Data Science, have seen the value of these methods. Boland believes her method can serve as an example of using data science to make religious education more obtainable and interesting. According to Boland, data visualization is an essential means of understanding complex religious phenomena. He learned how to do it long before it became a popular teaching tool. His work is hugely impactful, in part because it connects the difficult ideas of religion to the real, data-driven world of technology. With creativity and hard work, the tools of the digital age can be used to achieve lofty spiritual goals, such as strengthening the mission of the Church and opening up the mysteries of faith to a new generation of believers. Carlo Acutis is an inspiration to young Catholics and technologists because he uses technology to spread the gospel and has a deep understanding of spirituality. He inspires them to see their skills as gifts that can have a significant impact on their faith communities. His legacy continues to challenge people to find new ways to minister and spread the gospel in a world that is becoming increasingly digital. The fact that Carlo Acutis is meant to be canonized and that his life's work is popular with everyone makes him an excellent example of modern sanctity. His story shows how traditional spirituality can be combined with the problems and realities of the 21st century. It's an interesting story that can be understood by people of all ages and cultures. Although Carlo's life was short, it was marked by a rare blend of faith and youth. Because he was deeply religious as a Catholic, he made choices and actions that showed that holiness is not just an idea, but a real thing that can be achieved and seen in everyday life. Millennials and Generation Z are particularly attracted to him because he's close to them. They see him as a modern person who has managed to reconcile a hectic technological life with a solid religious faith. This isn't just a nod to the younger generation that he could become a millennial saint. It actually starts a conversation with them about the role of faith in modern society. The old and the new, the sacred and the secular, all come together in his story. At a time when the digital divide seems to divide rather than unite people of different ages in the Church, this story is even more powerful. Carlo also uses technology to help people learn more about his faith and spread the good word, which goes against the common belief that modern technology is detrimental to spiritual growth. On the contrary, his life shows how digital tools can be used to build a stronger relationship with God, making the Church's teachings easier to understand and more attractive to people all over the world. The enthusiasm generated worldwide by his canonization shows just how important his life and work are to many people. Many see in Carlo both the example of a saintly person and a sign of hope for the rebirth of religious practices in the digital age. His way of living his faith, his creative use of digital tools for evangelization, and his unwavering dedication to the Eucharist have not only won the hearts of believers, but have also shown the Church how to move forward in an increasingly complicated world. As we learn more about the important life and legacy of Carlo Acutis, if this video moved you or you found it helpful, please like it, subscribe, and consider using Super Merci to show your appreciation. Thank you for your help. It makes us want to keep looking at stories like this. In a world where the boundaries between the digital and the real are increasingly blurred, your legacy is even more important. As young people grapple with the challenges of identity, community, and faith in the digital age, Carlo's life shows how to bring these elements together in a complete way. People think that making him a saint is both a celebration of his life and a sign that there are ways of being holy in the modern world, ways that involve being involved in the world rather than avoiding it. Carlo Acutis is about to become a saint, which is an important event that shows what a spiritual leader he is for our times. It shows that the Church sees the possibility of holiness in modern life and wants to meet young people where they are, at the cutting edge of technology, where they spend a lot of time. It's a powerful reminder for everyone, but especially for young people, to see the people they meet, the problems they face, and the promises they make every day as opportunities for spiritual growth and expression.